espacios con refrigerios también, gente que quiera pararse aquí y contarnos alguna experiencia, no buscamos gente súper experta, digamos que cuando la tenemos solamente la aprovechamos, pero le damos la oportunidad al que quiera pararse aquí y contarnos algo de su experiencia como diseñador, como investigador, lo que nos quieran contar. Entonces, ¿qué más les cuento? Bienvenidos. Hoy estamos en Plaza, como les comentaba, pues los dejo con Cristian, que nos va a contar 5 minutos sobre Platzi.
Hola, Cristian.
con Julián.
Cristian, no, por favor. Hola a todos, pues de aquí a una historia. ¿Quieres conocer Platzi? Nosotros, extrañamente, también hacemos cursos, no extrañamente, o sea, extrañamente que estemos en el mismo espacio, nosotros les ofrecemos nuestro espacio y a cualquier otra comunidad para que pueda armar sus eventos aquí, obviamente con previo aviso y pues con organización, pero la idea es que este espacio sea de todos. Así es, creamos cursos en línea en torno a tecnología, diseño y marketing, todo enfocado hacia el emprendimiento, y buscamos pues que la economía de Latinoamérica y pues del mundo realmente cambie a partir de la educación. Eso es lo que nosotros creemos, nuestra razón de ser, y por eso existen los cursos que nosotros creamos. Y bueno, como les digo, pues aquí pueden venir a hacer sus eventos si quieren, nos pueden contactar a tim@platzi o a julian@platzi u oscar@platzi. ¿Cierto, Oscar? Sí, Oscar. Y acá son bienvenidos siempre. Bueno, ¿qué les cuento? Para términos así logísticos, pues si llega a temblar, si llega a ir la luz, pues obviamente por las escaleras, con calma, las escaleras las encuentran hacia allá, tenemos baño aquí, traten de no cerrar esta puerta de acá, tenemos baños separados a la parte de adentro, tenemos jugos, tomen jugo, por favor, siempre que dejan el jugo, no, no es necesario que se lo acaben todos si no quieren, pero por la vez tomen jugo, más tarde va a haber pizza, disfruten esto. Realmente tratamos de organizarlo lo mejor posible, esto lo contamos nosotros hacia las patadas, entonces espero que todo salga bien. No es la primera vez que hacemos un evento con el IDF, llevamos ya más de un año organizando todos los eventos aquí. Y pues nada, mi nombre es Julián, yo me voy en un rato, pero si necesitan algo antes de que me vaya, con todo el gusto. Oscar queda allá, Oscar queda en representación de Platzi. También si lo quieren molestar, es probable que lo puedan molestar.
Nada, los invito a que por favor nos hagamos un poquito más poquitos, pues teniendo en cuenta que somos poquitos para que Cristina nos pueda ver un poquito mejor. No se preocupen si tienen preguntas o lo que sea. La logística de las preguntas, en dado el caso, va a ser si la persona sabe inglés, pues que por favor se acerque aquí y haga la pregunta, porque ya solo escucha bien así aquí con el micrófono de la cámara, y si no, pues dice una pregunta en español y que ya nos hace el favor de traducirla. Entonces, que tu representación cuando grabamos.
Hi, Christine, can you hear me? You have your microphone.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna briefly introduce you, and you can take from there, okay? Listo. Bueno, les presento a Christine Bodyford. Ella es la gerente de una empresa que ella desarrolló llamada Community Strengths, Fuerzas Comunitarias. Ella generó una propuesta de la que nos va a hablar el día de hoy con una compañera llamada Celiani Camargo Borges, y ellas dos diseñaron un enfoque llamado Designing Research, que es un enfoque muy centrado en lo que se llama el diseño para la transformación. Entonces, cómo aprovechar estas ideas, estas metodologías del diseño, sobre todo ellos lo trabajan muy desde las propuestas de Design Thinking, pensado a generar cambios en contextos de humanos, que pueden ser contextos sociales, comunitarios, pero también organizacionales. Entonces, yo no quiero decirles más porque precisamente, pues, para eso está ella, ¿no? Okay, Christine, you can take it from here. It's your time, okay? By the way,
Hello, everyone.
wanted to go on.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good. Bueno. So please, first, tell me if you need me to slow down, because I often get excited and I speak very fast. And so just, you can use your hands like this to remind me. Is that okay? Okay, good. Thank you all for showing up. I understand it's raining and there's a lot of traffic, and I know Bogota, I know how it can be, so I appreciate you being here. It's great to see you all. So I'm excited to talk to you. Marcela and Gerardo have asked me to talk a little bit more about the research aspect of how research and design can work together to inform and create solutions that transform or improve people's lives. And we have my colleague. I'm gonna share my screen. Is that okay? At this point, actually, before I do that, before I share my screen, I would just love to ask if there's any hopes that people have for tonight, in what you're hoping to learn more about or have conversations about. It's a small group, so I think we can be flexible. Are there any hopes that people are bringing about why you showed up tonight and what you hope to learn more about or have conversations about?
No, estamos muy abiertos a que ella diga, más no tenemos preguntas antes de que ella nos exponga.
They're open mind.
And I'm going to have a little. Oh, go ahead, Marcela.
¿Qué expectativas tienen? Pues me imagino que igual leyeron como la descripción de la charla, que se imaginan que va a pasar hoy, mejor dicho.
So Marcela, was there, the gentleman that you just spoke, I understood a little bit of what you were saying, but Marcela, can you translate for me? Or Gerardo?
No, I just asked them if they have some like expectations of this night.
Okay. Okay.
So, but they are a little bit shy, I guess.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We are shy right now, but we are going to start to make do questions when you start talking. I think.
Okay. So jump in.
We are on the about you.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't I get started, and then we'll create space for conversation. Whenever you would like to stop and have conversation or ask questions, please let me know. Gerardo may have shared with you that my background is working in organizational systems and community change. And I came to design thinking as a transformative process for co-creating solutions for people's lives. I was very excited about the opportunities to engage in that co-creative process. So I have much to learn from you. And I would love to hear your feedback on this. But I want to think about tonight how we think about design as a tool or an approach for social change, whether it be in organizations or communities, or how we design products that improve people's lives, whether it's a banking solution for low-income families, whether it's a technology solution that might connect generations. I think in Colombia, you also probably have an issue with urban-rural migration, where you have older people living in rural communities, and you have younger people and families maybe living in Bogota or Medellin. And what are some technology solutions to help support people to connect across generations. So there may be opportunities to look at how we use design as a transformative tool to improve people's lives. How am I doing on speed? Is everyone understanding my English okay?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good, thank you. So I'm gonna start my share screen. Let me see how I do this here, Gerardo. Can I do it? No. I practiced it. Here we go. I got it. Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Okay, can you see it okay? So this is...
Right.
We see a...
You see it?
We see a black box.
No.
It's all black.
No.
Okay, it's not liking that. Hang on. Let me try it a different way. I'm going to stop screen sharing. You don't see it now, right?
No.
I stopped screen sharing.
We see you.
Okay, there we go. Is that better?
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
This is mi amiga, Celiani. Celiani and I have been exploring this idea of designing research, where we're fusing together concepts, relational and collaborative concepts, with design thinking in a research process. And Gerardo had asked me if I could focus on the relational aspects of this work to enhance how we think about design. And so I'll talk about that. And Celiani is in Amsterdam. So unfortunately, she wasn't able to join because of the time difference, but she passes along her greetings and wishes she could be here as well. Max also I was going to have Max share a little bit about their experience as a experienced design manager in working with designers and bringing the research process, but maybe we can Max had to leave, so maybe we can have another time with Max. But Max also sends along their greetings. I'm going to start by sharing a story first. So I worked on a project with an NGO called HelpAge. And in this project, we developed a tool called the Health Outcomes Tool to measure healthy aging. And in fact, Colombia was the first country to participate in developing this tool. In the end, we collected data in 9 countries with 3,000 people. And we were left with the question, what do we do with this data to design health solutions for people's lives? You'll see here, this is in a village in Colombia, where we were actually collecting data and health measures of people's functionality. And I'll just say, Dr. Margarita Medina from Javeriana, Universidad de Javeriana. I can never say it. Javierna. Did I say it right? Veriana. I got it right that time, right? Was the lead in Colombia at the Institute of Aging Research. So we found ourselves with the following challenges. So we had all this data, but we realized that people that are most impacted are not always consulted or included in the design of health solutions. I'm curious if that's also the case when you're designing solutions, how often the people that are most impacted by them are included in the actual design. Can I see can anyone share about that in your work, how often people are involved in the design of solutions, whether it be banking or health or other solutions? Is that common or not so common?
Sí, no. O sea, ¿qué tan común es que incluyamos a los usuarios en nuestro proceso realmente?
Sometimes it's difficult Or
Can you hear her?
Can you hear Christine?
Yes, yes.
Yes, she listen actually.
I work in a company that is difficult for us to get in contact with customers of our service because people don't trust on us. And I think there is a way that social environment can influence what people think about in different organizations. So for us, we try to manage innovation through design thinking, but it's difficult sometimes, and we think in solutions, but not with the customer or the final. What kind of company? Pensiones. Retirement. Yeah, retirement plans.
Yes.
So
Retirement plans.
It's a topic that people don't trust on the companies. So for us, it's so difficult to get on that people.
Great, thank you. That's a great example. I kind of want to like stop screen sharing while we're talking, and I'm trying to figure out how to. Oh, I think it just worked.
Yes.
I want to connect with you when you're talking. That's a great example. So trust becomes an issue in engaging people in developing solutions. What do you think the barriers are to trust? It sounds like with retirement plans, it's about money. It's a very personal element in people's lives. I think health is as well. Tell me what you think the biggest barriers are to trust.
Well, yes, we are going to try something. Can you talk from there? Do you listen there?
Yeah.
Barriers. I don't know. Sometimes when we try to do things, I don't know, like political things came up and people lose trust more and more, like in a bigger way with us. So when we try to make different strategies to get with the customer, it's really difficult because they don't go to the workshops, they don't appear in the interviews. So if we try to contact it, they don't answer the telephone or everything. So I think communication with them is difficult in workshops or everything that we can do with them.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I think we can talk about that a little bit, about some elements that we can think about in developing those stronger relationships to be able to co-design with, and also brainstorm as a group. What kinds of things have been working in establishing those kinds of relationships? Are there any other barriers that people are seeing, or are people also seeing a challenge in having people involved in designing solutions that impact them? Okay.
¿Ella está hablando solo en el proceso? You're talking just about the process, because I think the biggest barrier here is that business don't want to spend money in investing.
Budget.
I think
So
this
they
is the
don't
first
want to
barrier.
spend the money on investing in the voice of the customer and developing the relationship with the customer. Okay.
For example, I work for a bank here, and I think that the mentality of the stakeholder is changing.
Yes.
But there is a big gap. I think that in this moment, it's very common to include users in the first part of the process. But in the continuous process, is not included in the
Okay.
iteration and the evolutive process of the solution. And I think that it's important to reinforce that part because the research all time of the process is very important. In the first parts, you can take a little bit information, it's qualitative, but I think that is not enough because if you keep contact with users in all part of the process, you are going to find new challenge and new insight that is going to make the product better. But I think that the companies in Colombia, for example, are beginning to take the mentality about research, but they think that is only enough in the first part. And I think that our jobs is to change the chip and work, for example, in guerrilla research all time and different ways to make the research that not spend too much money. Go to a branch or go to a little big group of users, but keep contact with users all time in the process, not only in the beginning.
Yes, I also think that well, our friend, I don't know your name.
My name
Carlos.
is Carlos.
Carlos is talking about investing money in research that in companies that have products, right? Like a bank. But if we talk about social, I don't know how to say that, you want to change a social behavior with a product, I think it's different because with a bank, you are selling products. But maybe you don't, another branch, no, another branch or something like that that invest in social products or social services for the people, actually.
But I think that it could be changed. For example, the startups, you can find startups in all markets, and the startups in the beginning don't have enough budget for investment, and you can work in different. I think that our work is to find different ways to research with users that not always need to be so expensive. I think that we need to find different ways, and the ideal research in different parts of the process depends on the maturity of your need, and not all time you need to make a big research. Sometimes you need a short to validate different kind of things.
Also, I think that the main problem. Also, I think that the main problem is about the culture of the generations, because those big fields or markets are the people about 50 or 60 years old manage all these companies, and like Carlos says, when we see the startups, those are created by young people, and these new generations are seeing the potential that all of this has in the markets. And I think that the real problem is about the culture of the people that take the decisions in the companies.
But
So
you
you're
are
a little
talking
bit-
about social, like Rappi or something like that?
In any kind of company.
Okay.
I wanna-
And like the example, your example, these people are old, so old people, and they don't want new things because all of their lives are doing something in one way and don't want to change because maybe they think that how to say,
What?
they need to make all a lot of things to learn this new approach. So they just don't want it.
Gotcha.
Can I ask a question? Are you talking about cultural differences within an organization of like understanding the need, but also with users and coming up with new
the
things?
generation those these companies.
Okay.
The culture is is a key in this problem.
Okay. So you've got organizations that have like maybe the founders or at the higher level might be older, more traditional in their thinking. Is this what you're saying?
Yeah,
and then
because I work in a fintech startup, and they really understand what is the potential of the design thinking, the user experience, because the people that found this company are young people, and they have more wide view of the technology and the world.
Okay.
But in a normal bank, the highest level of manage is a woman or a man about 15 years old. More. So the gap, the difference is the difference. The root, I think personally that the root of the problem is that.
But I think that, for example, our bank is the most traditional bank in Colombia. Banco de Bogotá is 30 years old. And I think that the challenge here is to find very strong insight that help you move other people. For example, a good example for us is that talking with people and making research for our process, we find a very powerful insight for the bank. That is that the company is formed around channels and products, and the people, no way the channel or the products, the people see the bank as a service. Yes, it's the way that I use my money and that kind of thing. And the bank think that the people see there as products. Okay, credit cards, saving accounts, and the most powerful insight that we found and is helping us to attack the mindset of the company is making visible that the people don't care the products. The people think in bank is about services, the way that you have to save money, the way you have to buy a house or buy a car or buy the shoes. And this is the real way that we say that we are working user-centered. Because if you talk about credit card or saving accounts, you are working in product-centered. Or if you talk about the app or the website, you are talking about channel-centered. And if you are going to say that you are going to work user-centered, you need to change that mindset, because it's not going to let you work.
And if you see, the banks and the fintech are the companies that are investing more in user experience and hiding these kind of roles to improve their products and their services.
It's a challenge, but it's a real challenge. You need to tackle time with all people that wants to work in the other way, but our work is to find the powerful insights of the users and trying to change with those insights the mindset of the bank, or in our case. Real problem with that. You find a real problem, a starting problem, you are going to find a very useful solution. If you think that you are only trying to sell a credit card or that, maybe you are not going to solve a real user problem.
So, Christine, as you can see, there are many barriers here. What do you think?
Yeah, well, so I kind of wrote down a couple here that I thought summarized what I heard. And I heard, you know, there's an opportunity for making a case for engaging users. So if we look at this challenge as a design opportunity, the design opportunity is how might we make a case? How might we demonstrate the value of engaging users throughout the process? And I heard, even in the upfront of the qualitative understanding of people's challenges, but also throughout the process of designing solutions. So if we reframe that to how might we make a case of the value of engaging users in co-designing solutions. But then also I heard a challenge of it's expensive. Like, are we willing to invest the money in doing this? And so I also was thinking of, in addition to making a case of the value, I heard a possible opportunity of how do we think about engaging users on a shoestring budget? I know how to how do we do engagement of users in some ways that are really cost effective and don't require a significant investment? That might be an opportunity for us to think about. And then I also heard a concept of, yeah, maybe we can establish the value in designing a product or a service, but what about changing? Would a bank or would another organization be interested in social change or changing a social behavior, or markets maybe that they haven't looked at before that might have big opportunities to make a change in people's lives, but we don't really know how to reach that market. There might not be that relationship or the trust. And then I heard about culture of organizations and different mindsets. Big issue. All of these issues are a big issue everywhere. And so how do we establish that communication between the generations and the different parts of the organization to establish the value? Kind of goes back to that making the case. Did I summarize what I think I heard?
Yes.
Anything missing?
Yes, you did.
Okay, and I think that this might be really interesting, just an ongoing conversation to continue working around these challenges, and maybe also committing to maybe becoming a practice group around trying some of these things and developing, like engaging ourselves around these design challenges might be really interesting. So do you want me to kind of go back and should we go in that direction and talk about these concepts a little bit, or do you guys want me to share a little bit more about the case study in Uganda or the project that we worked on, so we might be able to glean some learning from that?
What do you think?
Which would you prefer?
Yeah. They would like to hear a bit more about the project in Uganda.
Are you saying you'd like me to? Or are you asking? Okay, but I think
No.
I think
They're saying.
Continue.
continue. Okay, great. Sorry, I didn't know if you were asking the question. So I'm gonna shorten what I was thinking about doing, because I think we can spend some more time on these design challenges that we just framed. And I think it would be really useful for us to maybe focus on those challenges that you're facing. We took these challenges about our data and we created some design challenges. So I think we can do that right now with your challenges as well. We wanted to find a way to really radically engage, empower, and encourage older persons and other stakeholders that are important in this context to co-design programs and policies to improve health. So that was our challenge. I think we could also maybe look at that in the context of maybe the retirement plan. How might we engage and empower older persons? That concept of empowering older persons around their financial future. To co-design programs or services that really enable them to live secure lives as they grow older. We might think about how we might develop a design challenge around that. But then we also wanted to figure out how we could make data more accessible and useful. So that might also, we could translate that into the design challenge. How might we make engaging users, engaging consumers, engaging people throughout the design process more valuable to our stakeholders? How might we do that? Out of those design challenges that we posed as a global organization, we went from this concept of measuring healthy aging to a more relationally centered approach that we called collaborating for health. Someone gave me a challenge as we were doing the Measuring Healthy Aging project and said, if you thought of relationship at the center, relationships with older people at the center, how might you approach this research differently? And so we shifted this to collaborating for health. It supported communities to improve their health through a human-centered approach, and that's when we brought design thinking into the project. We were able to develop this project in 3 countries, so India, Tanzania, and Uganda, and we prototyped the approach to see if we might be able to bring design thinking into designing health solutions with older people at the center. So these 3 questions that Celiani and I talk about, every time I go into a research or design project, I always ask myself, how might I hold relationships and collaboration in the center of this research or this intervention? If I shift my thinking from what's the solution, what's the service, to the relationship and the ability to collaborate with my users, how does that shift how I'm thinking? How might we invite people to bring their knowledge and experiences and stories to co-create? Older people, I'll tell you, if you're thinking about this retirement aspect, are such a wealth of stories and experiences and knowledge. So if we are able to shift and think about that and invite them in to co-create, there are so many different possibilities. And we'll talk a little bit about the trust issue too and how we address that in our project. But then I also like to think about how do we shift from researcher as expert to co-researchers. So we became, let me just go up here so I can show you. Here, we actually have an older person's research team. And we shifted from this concept of designing for to designing with. So everything that we did was co-designing with older people. And I'll tell you what, they are absolutely amazing. You'll see them here. We're doing a patient journey map. We have older people in all of our interview teams. So they're not only the subjects of the research, they are co-researchers. And they're so in developing the research and developing the interview questions and engaging their community in leading the community. They are our partners in research. So let me see, anything else in that piece. I think the one piece that led us to have such success with engaging older people as part of the research team, and this could be in many different solutions that you're working on. If you're working with financial products for families, if you're working on health solutions for teens, really thinking about how to engage them as co-researchers and developing that trust. For us, the trust came because of our relationship, long-term relationship with the community. I've been working with this community and several communities in East Africa for about 6 years. So there's a strong level of trust and investment in that. But we also aligned with an NGO in the community that had a strong relationship with older people. Super critical to us having an ongoing relationship with the community and this older person's research team. For example, if I was to do a project in Bogota, I would maybe reach out to the Institute on Aging to learn more about the issues of older people and to immerse myself in that and to engage them possibly as a partner because of the relationship that they have with older persons groups in Colombia. So where can you find a partner who has that trust? How can you invest in the long term of developing a relationship? And how might you build the capacity of the people that you're working with to develop them as co-designers, co-researchers? Whenever I work on any project that is developing solutions, whether it's organizational, a product, or community change, I always ask myself, whose voices are privileged? Who am I privileging in this process as an expert? And whose voices are left out? I'm trying to think of like an example, another example. I've done work in peace building or violence prevention work. And often young people who are considered delinquent, dangerous, deviant are left out of the conversation. How do we flip that narrative and engage them as co-researchers? Might be a little less applicable to financial service products or health insurance products or things of that sort, but it's just an example of really asking ourselves that question. So let me just pause there. And maybe we could take a moment to think about how we can we talk about the trust thing, the trust element first? What are some opportunities that you see in your work and some of the things, some of the biggest challenges that your organization feels like your customers are facing? What's one step that you could take to start developing trust with the user? Thinking about this example, can we do this as a group? Like, should we look at the retirement plan as an example? Like a financial services organization that would like to develop a financial plan instrument. And they really want to, so let's build a case study. They really want to make a difference, not only in older person's lives, so people who are nearing retirement, but also for young people. So young people are not thinking about their retirement in virtually any country. I don't know if it's different in Bogota and Colombia, but it's really across the lifespan that we want people thinking about their retirement. But let's say we want to engage these different generations to think about retirement and what their life might look like and how we could create solutions to meet that vision. How might we start establishing trust with these people? Can anyone share an idea they have?
I don't know if it's a problem, but sometimes we think that the user is like waiting or expecting something in return. Mm-hmm. If we want to have an interview with them. So for that reason is that we think that we need a big budget. But because when you speak with them, for example, in a bank office, they maybe expect that you give them something, or they don't trust you because why do you ask me that kind of things, or for example, personal questions. Maybe that's one of the problems here, that sometimes we always have in our mind that we have to give them something in return, and if we don't have it, it's more difficult to approach
them.
Yes.
I think that empathy is not a UX problem only. It's a social relations problem. And I think that if you are going to work with research, the first object in a research is to make contact like a friend. The other people need to feel that you are not going to work in this because you want to sell a credit card. They need to think, and our work is to make feel the other people that we want to work in make a better life for them. And I think that is the most difficult part, because it's not only your UX skills, it's your social skill for make feel the other person that you want to be their friend and help them for any reason.
And sometimes, if, for example, you call it by phone, they here in Bogota or in Colombia, there are a lot of people calling you all days, trying to sell you something. So, as Carlos said, have to try to tell them, or to that we are not going to sell them something, not we just want to care about them, and we want to improve our products with their feedback.
Nice.
Well, is that I mean, if we're building a relationship based on trust, maybe some of the issues that we're facing are social issues, right? So maybe people have great expectations about their solutions, and sometimes you can really get into I don't know, like a full prototype that works, a real solution that is completely implemented. So maybe that is also a little bit difficult to overcome when you're working with a community, right? So it's that you have to make promises that you can maintain until the end of the project. Very beginning at the start.
Yeah, for example, some tricky that we use is try to make a research and don't say the people, the company that we work, only at the end, for different reasons, because sometimes they think that only the banks is not a company that the people have in good reputation. So, so I think that the best way is to try to find a neutral land and try to talk with them. So I have been using something that, okay, if I need if it's in a public place, okay, let's take a coffee, buy something for some snacks, and let's talk like a friends, and try to understand that. And at the end, I work for a research company, and at the end, I'm going to say what company I work, because I don't want to change your opinion about something, and that kind of tricks, for example, for us, works well, because the feeling of the people is not like you are doing this because you want than I buy something this time or that kind. And the questions is very important too, because you are, for example, in our case, if we are only talking about finance product, the people is going to say, what happened, and I know what do you want. And if we try to understand the behavior about context and different things, and for us, hard work as a good tricky, because the people open the conversation and they feel more comfortable about talking in those chapters.
At the end, that's maybe the big challenge for us, to create that confidence environment so the user can trust us. So that maybe to get that skills to have that environment, to create that environment is a big challenge for us.
I think that social skills that are needed. That okay, there is like the importance of the role of designing this research that is not like common research, but also there's where the designer comes, because if you put like the commercial person, I don't know, the people from sales to make research, well, they will be like thinking about the goals they have to meet, the products they have to sell, what they are to the honest or really, yeah, having this sensibility. But the designers have like a different sensibility that they can like get in touch with the user in a different way. And also, I think that the immersion in the community is also important, as she said. She was like immersed with the community for a long time and trying to talk to them. Well, sometimes you don't have like that time to for that immersion, but you have to speak the same language, understand what they are saying, and listen carefully. Like, well, it is not a lot of time, but the time that you have, it needs to be very like valuable for them. So there are where the skills also come.
Yeah, and also in our case, we go to make the interviews in the house of the person or the office of the person, so the person feels really comfortable about talking about issues. But also, for example, we work for a consultancy firm. When we go with the client and when the person starts like, saying like, that service is crap, and they are like, why? But this is working perfectly. So the people is feeling like, like judged about the things that they are saying. So, for example, sometimes for the client, it's very difficult to have like a beginner's mindset and feel like another person conversation. So yeah, it's a very, or also another barrier is the client, in those industries.
Special skills, like facilitating skills, or yeah, to have that empathy.
I wanted to try to accept Christine's challenge and try to think how to get to hear something from other people in relation to retirement plans. So I was remembering some years ago when I was still living with my parents. I usually went to a coffee shop, a Bangladesh coffee shop. And it was curious because I went every day there, and I went with my notebook, and I worked there every day. And every day there was always this group of retired older people that always went there just to talk. And basically, the whole afternoon, or even the whole day, they went in the morning, then they went home, and in the afternoon they came back. So I was thinking about how that could be very fruitful in regards to getting closer to people that can offer you great information, the kind of stories Christine was mentioning. Seeing how to get close to them in the sense of getting close in relation to getting to make them understand you're interested in them, they are the center, and you are actually asking them for their help. They are the ones that are helping you. I think is key here. So, and actually in terms of all, just like Christine mentioned, many times they actually have many stories to tell. And many times, actually, they love sharing their stories.
And in that stories, that where you find the quality of insights, because they are like they are natural. They are something that they have in their heart, and they want to share it, and you have to be a good listener.
Perfect. So I bet they have they are already retired. So I assume they have a lot of stories, anecdotes about retirement and how it went with their retirement plans, and to know how to get close to them in a humble disposition, I think can be very, very helpful. Just as something as simple as, excuse me, can you help me with this? And try to explain that I'm not interested in telling you anything. I just want to hear from you. And I think that actually can help a lot, because most people actually think, what's the catch? What are you trying to sell me? But when you try to explain, oh, you are telling me, I want your stories, not the other way around.
Some people are not silly. When you are more worried about your products or your service or your company and not interested in them.
Yeah, in that case, you are going to their environment, you are listening, so you are showing them that you appreciate what they have to say, that for a person is really important, and it makes them feel, yeah, that is important what they're saying. So when you ask them afterwards what you want to hear or what you want to say, they already trust you because you show them that you appreciate what they're saying.
And most people, when they feel they are the center, they actually are the most important one in the room. Most people actually love that. And because they love that, it's easier for them to be open about themselves.
I think that the most difficult thing that can happen to me when I work in research with people is that you hear that they say they are all people, that they do want to feel that they are people. So you can hear very frequently that they say, I don't know how to do this, but I want to learn. So in that case, make empathy with that. They are saying, let's work on something that is easy for me. It is easy for me, frictionless, and that kind of thing. I'm going to use it. And in that case, you can take the most powerful insights because they want to learn. They don't know how to make things, but they say, okay, let's work together, and I'm going to tell you my pain points because I want, if it's easy, I'm going to use it. So in this moment is when you need to pay attention very well because the next insight after that are going to be very powerful because they are going to say the most powerful pain point that they have.
And we cannot underestimate them because it's a common mistake. We underestimate people because maybe we think that they couldn't is too new or modern for them. But no, we have to understand them first, and then we can take good decisions.
The other thing I want to offer is we, all of us, probably know an older person. Maybe we have a grandfather, or maybe we have a neighbor. So that person that we already know can actually be a great link to get to know older people. So it's always easier to get in contact with other people when someone else presents us to that group. It makes it easier than to be a stranger and say hello. Sometimes that is a little offensive for some. So it's important to also be strategic in that sense.
And for example, to understand the different things of the kind of person is very, very important. For example, it's anecdotic, but we were working in our research and we talked with people and they say, for example, I don't want to open my saving accounts on internet or the app. I'm going to go to the office because it's a plan for me. I don't have anything what to do in the day, and to go to the office or to go to the grocery is a plan for me. I don't have anything what to do in my home and go to the bank is spend my time. And we need to understand very well that kind of things because this is going to open a lot of possibility more than the rest of the people that is very busy all day. And maybe if you understand that inside you are going to work in a situation that is going to make comfortable that maybe for them is good to go and talk to other people because they don't have other persons who talk in the day.
Yeah. I'm inspired, actually. I'm gonna jump to like an example of a solution that combines the going to the coffee shop and what you were just saying about I don't want to use an app. I want to go somewhere, and I'm thinking about having a relationship with my banker. There's a bank in the US that has cafes, and there are people there that are like concierges, and you can get a cup of coffee. And if you're a customer and they sit down with you and they walk you through, and it's no technology unless the customer's, wanting that. Like I went in with my daughter and we pulled out our technology and we accessed the app and they taught us how to do some different things. But it's an interesting combination of both of your stories as a financial services solution for someone. But I've written down so many notes and I'm going to like summarize them and send them back to you guys because there's so much brilliance in your conversation about the importance of immersion, the importance of using our experiences with the relationships that we have to understand what people need for that kind of trust. There's also the piece of going into a context that feels safe or familiar for people. Like how do we go to a place where people feel safe? There was a piece that I can't remember connecting it to. It made me think of, I wrote the word down, a cultural steward. Like there was several times where people said like, older people want to share their stories. They want to contribute. They want to, from my experience working around the world with older people as, my partners, as the solution, as the designers, and I'm getting to be an older person soon myself, which is always a weird thing. But people want to be seen as from their strengths, and you use the word appreciation. And so what we can appreciate grows. Like if we can see older people with, put our assumptions aside of older people and come with an openness to their stories and appreciation and their strengths. But I had this concept, I wrote this word down, cultural steward. Like, are there older people you might engage as an advisory? Let's say, like, there's some older people that have relationships in communities, maybe in faith communities or in neighborhood communities, that could be cultural stewards that could act as that connector. Because it does take time to develop trust, but if you had a cultural steward that would help older people, other people come and engage in conversations or dialogue around their dreams for their future. So how do we shift up the pattern? That's what I'm kind of hearing. Like, we have a pattern. People come into the bank, we interview them, or we interview them about products and services, but then they don't trust us. How do we shift that up? I'm hearing other ways that you guys are proposing. I'm starting to get excited. Sorry, I'll slow down. But if we're seeing patterns that aren't working, repetitive patterns of developing mistrust, I've heard of other patterns that you're proposing that lead to more trust and appreciation in relationship. How do we start building more of those practices that develop stronger relationships? How do we immerse ourselves, go into someone else's context, see other people as rich in resources for their stories, spend the time listening? I hear lots of resources that you are describing to be able to engage your customers as co-designers. And I almost want to propose, like, us to prototype that a little bit. Like, can we play with that some? Can we go out, like, was it Gerardo? You were off the video, but I think the voice, yeah. Was it you that was talking about talking to your grandparents? Was that you? Was that you talking about, like, talk to your grandparents? We have our grandparents. Or at the coffee shop. Okay. So I wonder if we could prototype that a little bit and try practice, like engaging and listening to stories. We might even develop some prompts for ourselves, like, how might we listen to stories of people's dreams about their future, or what they value about their future? And what are some ways that people are taking steps towards that already that we can learn from? What are things that are important to them that they value? Kind of doing a mix of ethnographic and observation. So I heard Gerardo talking about, I think it was Gerardo, about the coffee shop, and then the questions and the storytelling and listening and immersing ourselves and see what we might come up with. What do you guys think?
So what more concrete idea can you think in relation to this, how to get closer in contact with other people in relation to this hypothetical idea in regards to how to get out of our offices and closer to those users, those older people that would be the users? What would you do? How would you do it? What ideas could you offer right now?
And maybe actually, how might we just practice it a little bit? How might we take the next couple weeks to stop and have a conversation with someone and listen to their stories, or ask our grandparents, or observe at the coffee shop, or observe at the bank? Just practice a little bit and let go of our need to let go of our need to have a certain outcome, and just allow ourselves the opportunity to play with keeping the relationship at the center and seeing how it develops. It's just an invitation for us to maybe play a little bit. Would people be up for it?
I was about the. Yeah, I once worked with older people, and because they usually get together in groups for activities during the week. So they usually get to churches or something like that, and they jump together or do stretch, do something like rap together. And then when I talked with them, the most important thing was like to use their language. I mean, you cannot talk like a person, I don't know, like a teenager, because they use a different language, a different speech, a different reading in the talking. So you have to be very careful not to be rude and maybe be very compensated with the person and very emotional. So that was the
Great.
biggest learning that I have with them. To share stories, but they want to feel like your family.
Yeah, nice.
Sometimes we have to use intercepts, and we use intercepts in the moment of truth. For example, if we are in a branch, we try to find the user that are, for example, the angriest or the happiest or that kind, and try to understand, and we try to be close with them, and we try to catch the information in that moment. It's extreme information because it depends of the moment for example, we have a lot of users that go to the office because all users they like the digital solution at the time, but they fight with the teller, and they say, and we try to be close of that users, and we try to find the angriest user, and we try to be like the people that hurt that user, because in most cases in that user is when they are angriest or situation like that. Any any person try to hear them, and when we try to be close with them, and okay, what happened? What happened to you? They feel that is the moment to let free all the problems that they feel. And for example, in our case, has been useful because you catch the real pain point of the user, the thing that hurts really. So in that moment, it's extreme, but you enter in confidence very fast. You don't need to spend more time to be in trust with them, because in that moment they say, anybody heard me here, and somebody try to get close to them and try to hear them, and they begin to talk very fast. Sometimes it's not comfortable for because you are like a wall, and you need to keep all the the words that the people use in that moment, but when they begin to talk, and the tone of the conversation begins very loud, but then they begin to feel comfortable, and you catch very good information, and the people feel that somebody helped them. That is very important. In that case, when they say, okay, this is a person that worked for this company, and I feel that my message is going to arrive to somebody here, and it's an extreme way. We call intercept, and we try to find extreme situations where the people can talk about a very hard pain point in that moment. And in our case, it's a fast way to begin to feel in contact, and it's different, but it's different than the traditional research, because we are like a hunter, and we try find the people that really have a very hard paper in our branch, for example. But it's the moment of truth. It's the moment where the people is really feeling that something is not working very well, and trying to say somebody that something is wrong, and they need that somebody help them. So it has been very useful for take the information in that situation. But it's a extreme. You need to be very prepared to catch a lot of hard information, because you are not only the people who are going to hurt. Maybe you are going to front that the people say that you are or you work for something that is not right, but you, you need to try to be neutral, and really it's not the moment to defend the company, it's the moment to understand that the user is very sad or something for something that is in the process on the service is not working very well.
Thank you. Yeah, and you were going in and out, so I got about half. But what I really resonated with was this deeper understanding of the real issues and challenges, the pain points, those really emotive moments that will really inform our services, our offerings to make a difference. One of the things that inspired me, actually, was thinking about, like, I would love to spend a day, like do a day in the life kind of immersion with an older person to really understand how they make decisions, like financial decisions, or about their life, about their money, about what's important to them, about what they value. You know, what are the different ways that we can get to that deeper understanding of those pain points, of the values, of the, you know, the what's important. Has anyone tried out other kind of ways besides a traditional interview research to be able to more deeply understand those pain points?
What else? Interviews, surveys.
I'm thinking what we do. Maybe surveys, interviews.
Well, I have tried something that is shadowing. Shadowing could be very interesting, because it's like you are in a context and you are learning about the user, and that's all. You are observing. Is the right way to say that? You are observing about the behavior, what they are talking, what they are doing, who are they interacting with. I think that my approach will be that. The first one is in the context, you have the context, and then you will see just what happened there. I think that it will be my.
So using a lot of observation and
Yes, because if you start with an interview, you are thinking that they want to talk with you, and this is not right. Why they have time to talk with you, actually?
Christine, I have to interrupt you 1 minute. I need you to tell you that we have just like 30 minutes of time. So well, I know that you have like a program, like a schedule for this night. So because I want you to know that you have just like 30 minutes, okay?
Thank you. And I want to check in with you guys, because I think it's also quite late there. Is it 8:30?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, Yeah, I mean, I just want to leave it to the group too. It's quite late for you. I'd like to just kind of invite us to explore, like, what might we do next to continue our learning. Can I share one thing, and then maybe we can have some open discussion about what we might do next to kind of further dig into this. But I was really, this is a, can you guys see this? I think it would be so interesting for us to actually do something like this. Like, this is Dr. Patricia Moore. This is when she was in her 20s, probably about 20, 30 years ago. But she spent 3 years traveling through the United States and Canada disguised as an elderly woman. So here she is in her 20s. And she just kept hearing, she was an industrial designer. She kept hearing, we don't design for those people, for older people. And she actually went into, dressed up like this, she went into an industrial design meeting, and people completely ignored her and did not even open a door for her. And then she came back the next day as herself, and they engaged her. They even at one point said, well, maybe we should talk to an older person. And she pulled out her wig. And they were astounded that they had completely overlooked that. But this is, Dr. Patty Moore is actually the woman who is credited with being one of the founders of Universal Design, because she wanted to, from her experience, she realized the challenges of using a can opener, opening a refrigerator, getting on a bus. So she, from her empathy, did a lot of design work, like the potato peelers with the thick rubber handles. She designed that originally for older people, but it's now a universal design component, designing for most people. So I think for a minute, if she had your job at the bank, what empathy experiments might she conduct to expand her worldview and imagination? What kind of experiments might we do to really get a better understanding of the needs of our customers? And in this case, the older person thinking about retirement. Could we spend a week with the income of an older person and understanding their dreams and what their dreams are for their grandchildren and how they spend their days? Could we design some sort of experiments to really dig in with empathy and walk in the shoes of another? I'm curious what you think about that. What kind of experiments might we do?
For example, mystery shopping.
Okay.
But mystery shopping with some artifacts could work. For example, try to take a health service or something like that, or use mystery shopping using some glasses that blur a little bit the vision about some things. That kind of artifacts could work and could help to understand different contexts of the user. For example, vision problems, or use shoes that is not comfortable. That kind of element, for example, is not the same when you are with your tennis, with your sport shoes, waiting in a line, and it's not the same that you use another kind of shoes that will simulate what feels an old person but is waiting in a line for taking a service, or that kind of things could work for a mystery shopping. Yeah.
understand their context, so you can use that. You can use that for your research.
For example, in digital solutions, for our person, it's very common that the user has problems with the fingerprint or that kind of thing. Try to use some elements that simulate another kind of skin and try to interact with digital products, and would be a way to understand what feels a person when he's trying to interact with something that isn't working.
Their frustrations.
I'm trying.
So I want to check in with you and just, I so appreciate this conversation. I've learned so much, and I've learned so much about the challenges that you're facing and also the opportunities of really bringing empathy and this relational approach into design. How would you, it's so late there, guys. I just want to offer that we can close, or if you have any comments or any thoughts as we close.
Maybe I say it wrong. You have time to finish your presentation and to do exercise, and we have 30 minutes more, maybe until 9:30 if you want, to they ask you wherever they want. So we have until, my plan is like until 9:30 to have the conversation with you, let's start what you want to do, and then the pizza time, if you are okay with that.
I am going to completely take your lead.
I agree, so we have, yes, so you have until 9:30 with the comments or with their questions, and after we are going to have pizza time, but you can share with us if someone wants to speak with you.
Sure.
I am here for you for as long as you need, so it's up to you. I'm going to take your lead. Any questions or thoughts or curiosities?
Well, what about the activity you wanted to do? Do you think it's?
Would you guys like to do it?
Yeah.
So I had an activity if you'd like to do it. It doesn't necessarily relate to some of the challenges that you were saying. I wanted to be mindful of that. But you guys want to do a little activity?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let's do it then. Let's find it. So there's a couple things that I wanted to just that would set this up a little bit. So what we're going to do is do some practicing around empathy and really trying to understand what types of things we're doing to try to improve or stay healthy. So we could also frame this in a conversation about what are the types of things that we're doing to improve our financial security or our financial future. But taking it from a standpoint of appreciation. So this is the other principle that I'd like to present in this principle of appreciation. I've heard that people using that word. And the importance of the fact that, or the importance of this principle that words create worlds. So thinking about whether we want to look at what's missing, what's wrong, what the problem is, or do we want to look at the strengths and what's working and what's positive? What do we want to grow? So often when we're designing for solutions, we're designing around, we're trying to understand the problem. But there's also, I heard you guys say that older people have many stories and ideas and strengths and things that have been working in their lives from their history. So can we focus on, in that case, the strengths and the stories of how they have worked so hard to ensure their future financial security? But let's, for ourselves, do an interview of each other, and we're going to look at what we're hearing someone thinking, what they're feeling about how we take steps, the things that we're doing to improve our health. So if you could just take a moment to ask your neighbor, what do you do to stay healthy or improve your health? And with that, take some time to dig deeper. And here's a couple of ways that you can do that. The first thing you can do is ask people to tell a story. So tell me about a time when you felt really healthy. What supported you in being healthy? Or you could ask them to draw a picture. Draw a picture of what makes you feel healthy on the top of the paper, and draw what and who supports you to feel healthy on the bottom, and tell me about what you drew. Or show me. Can you show me something that makes you healthy? Tell me about it. And then the 5 whys is usually used. Have you guys used the 5 whys before? It's usually used to find the root cause of the problem. And I've reframed it here as the root cause of success. So if you're asking a story about someone when they felt really healthy, you can ask, well, why did that work? Well, I made it a priority. Well, why was it a priority? Because it feels urgent. Why is it urgent? So continuing to dig deeper, just for more understanding, not making assumptions about things, and continuing to ask why. So after we do that, we'll listen for the clues that we hear in the people's stories. We'll think about the actions that they've actually taken and what that's telling us about what's important to them. And most importantly, we'll remember that people are experts in their own lives. So we'll really listen and learn. And from that, we'll create an empathy map. Has anyone done an empathy map before?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So is this old stuff for you? So are you guys up for it? Yeah? Okay. Why don't we just take a couple minutes and try the interview? What do you do to stay healthy or improve your health? Or if you want to focus on finances, what do you do to manage your finances and feel financially secure? And use one of these strategies to dig a little deeper. And then we can do an empathy map, if you guys are up for it.
Les propongo algo en relación a esto. Si la idea es comenzar a hacer entrevistas, creo que no vale la pena que lo hagan hablando con la persona que tienen al lado, que muy probablemente es una persona que ustedes ya conocen. Entonces, ¿por qué no se devuelven un poquito para que terminen con una persona que no conozcan y con esa persona la entrevista? Anímense. Entonces, ¿por qué no se dan un momento, movernos un poquito a la gente? ¡Vamos! Eso sale rápido. Muévanse, busquen a alguien que no conozcan y busquen una pareja para hacer la actividad de las entrevistas. Que no conozcan, por favor, no hagan trampa. Ya, entonces decía quién va a entrevistar a quién para comenzar la actividad. Sí.
No, pues podemos hacerlo como bueno, esta es una manera.
Christine, do they need the paper for this activity? Should they be writing down the interview answers?
If they can write it down, it'd be great. I should have mentioned something about being harvesters of the stories, and I forgot. But they will need it for the empathy mapping. But
I see them very engaged in the activity, so
okay.
Maybe we should leave it at that. Let them continue.
I worry it's so late. I want to really honor that people might be tired after a long day, and so I'm okay if people just want to have pizza and use the time to talk and reflect. It's fine with me. I kind of just sense that people are a little tired.
I must confess, I'm not able to hear you right because there's a lot of chit chat right now. But I think
or check your WhatsApp. I sent you a WhatsApp.
Okay, let's do it.
Si me puedo hasta un poquito para Sí, pero
Chicos, ahora vamos al siguiente paso para que nos dé tiempo de hacer todo a la televisión. Entonces, el siguiente paso es
el dibujo y después los 5 porqués.
Solemos hablar. Sí, sí, es la otra sería un
Hay que insistir por cuestiones de tiempo, el tiempo que queda muy corto, entonces realmente no, por un lado sí es mejor que sea un solo investigador, un solo entrevistado, pero además que ya es un momento para el dibujo, para procurar lograr todos los pasos y que tengan el tiempo para hacerle preguntas también y podamos irnos a las 9:30. Sí, a las 9:30 tenemos que irnos.
Toca cerrar clase, entonces. Ahí sí nos despedimos una disculpa, pero.
¿Cuál es el mayor tiempo?
Llegué al nivel llenado, sí, el pasado. Fue bastante es algo que compra todo. Mi forma de ser persona, el hecho de que estar bien. Ya por ejemplo, sería esto por ejemplo. Una es que
Hi, Christine, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We told that we have to leave at 9:25. We're currently doing the activity and eating pizza at the same time. It's 9:05.
Yeah.
So they're basically the activity of doing the drawing. After that, they'll do the 5 whys. But just to let you know that we have for absolutely everything just 20 more minutes. Okay?
Oh, yeah, and yeah, that's fine. Right.
Okay. Okay. So sorry for all the unexpected schedule of today. We didn't know we had to leave at that time. Okay? So sorry.
No, this is fine. It's so late. I'm fine. Do people want to just continue talking, or should we have more conversation? I'm okay. I think that we've had a really nice discussion.
Yeah. So let me know whatever you think it works. like I was saying, it's around 20 minutes right now. How much more time do you think we should let them have before we go to maybe talk one last time, all of us with you?
Whatever they would like. It's really up to them, Gerardo. Do you want to check in with anyone and see what they would prefer?
Okay. I'll ask them then.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Bueno, en este momento básicamente quedan 15 minutos para absolutamente todo. Entonces, tal cual. Entonces, precisamente Cristín pregunta si quieren tomar un tiempito más para esto antes de llegar al cierre, o si quieren dejar hasta ahí. ¿Quieren tomar 5 minutos más y pasamos ya al cierre? ¿Les parece 5 minutos? ¿O qué opinan ustedes, Cristín? ¿Quieren saber?
Listo, 5 minutos más para lo que nos falta
Listo.
y podemos así ya cerrar con Cristín, si quieren hacer una pregunta y cerramos.
Ok, entonces, a ver, los minutos que no han pasado a la última etapa, que eran los 5 por 3. ¿Listo? 5 por 3. Okay, so they'll take 5 more minutes and then we'll get back to you, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Pues afortunadamente no ha pasado una nueva el tiempo en Estados Yo no sé qué quiero hacer en un libro, porque están tratando de 7 años y me hacen ya pero sé que no tiene razón. Dos,
Solo quedan 2 minutos. 2 minutos.
y eso dice, muy inteligente. Entonces, es la y esa libertad.
Listo, chicos. Tenemos hasta ahí para que llegaron para contar estos últimos minutos con Cristina, que pues amablemente nos está ofreciendo su tiempo, ¿vale? Okay, Christine, we're back with you.
How was the pizza?
It was great. So sorry.
Good. You guys are troopers.
Si quiere pasar a compartir, así 140 caracteres.
Bueno, vamos a decir que no. So, Christine, we think we cannot reach to do the empathy map here because we are out of the time. Yes, we want to share it with you, our exercise. Then we want to start.
Good.
No? Yep. Please go ahead.
Do I have to go?
Well, I think that you draw something or your partner.
So, our conversation was about money management. I don't know if that's the right word, but we started talking about how each other manage the money and then you said that it was only one person interview, so I focused on my partner. So I started talking about how does he manage his money, and he started saying that he was saving money because he wants to bring some money or like finance independence because he lives with his parents. So for him, it is important to be independent in that way. And I started to talk about what was like the drivers for saving money. At the beginning, he said it was something about like, have a budget at the end of the year to make a project or to make a trip or any of those things. But then when I went deeper and understood what was like the first motivation for starting like, saving money, he says that it was like a cultural mindset in the family in which his parents teach him to save money for the later years. I don't know how to say that, but for when you are older. Because he saw in his family the example that it was very difficult for his parents to work until the 60s, and he doesn't want to do that. He wants to save money, and at some age he wants to stop working and have enough money to survive. So yeah, that was the of everything.
Nice job.
And
Okay, the drawing that he did, it was like I asked him to make a draw about how he feels when he is successful managing his money. So
Nice.
he drew a happy face, and he was thinking about like a full cup because he reached the goal that he had in his finance, and he felt like happy about it. But like the insight about that is that it makes me feel happy because I saved the money, but I didn't have to sacrifice any of the things that made me happy. So this was like the most powerful information about this drawing. And also when he has his happy face, he said that his cup was, I don't know how to say that, but it's like over full, like all the water or wine is dropping from the cup because he saved a lot of money, but he had to sacrifice a lot of things. So that was the reason for the sad face, and also because he couldn't save any money. And that's it.
well, thank you.
Very nice. Thank you.
Who's next?
Hagamos esto voluntario, o sea, si no todos quieren pasar, pues está bien. ¿Alguien más quiere presentar?
Okay, we were talking about how to feel healthier. My partner said that the most important thing is to feel like relaxed. It's about having this quiet mind and being relaxed and not pushing too much for work. Because at the beginning we were talking about riding the bicycle every day, but then we went deeper in the questions, and then she started to talk about a friend that had a healthy issue, and then he had to retire very young. So she was worried about having the same kind of issue because she's working too hard and pushing too much to be successful. So she was thinking about, okay, it's good to be concerned about work and being good in things that you're doing, but not at that point that you are like having troubles in your health. And so it was the draw is she being really relaxed, sleeping or being in her house, just watching TV or series. And then the people that is helping to fulfill that goal are their parents. Because at the end, when I was asking more and more, the reason why she wants to be really productive in the rest of her life is because she wants to support her parents.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's the reason, the really goal that she has, and that's the main point, because she wants to be like healthier for the rest of her life.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone else?
Or if there's a question, maybe that's another option. If one of you have a question for Christine.
Well, and I have a question.
Someone wants to show what it is.
I have a question for you guys. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Did you have any? I'm curious in your interviews if you had any moments that shifted your thinking, that surprised you, that shifted your thinking about the question, or how you thought about the question, or what potential answers might be.
Yeah, because, for example, when I was asking about the reasons she was worried, when we arrived to the point that my friend was ill, and that's the reason, I couldn't ask, like, why? Because it's perfectly clear. I mean, she's worried because someone has an attack. Yeah. So maybe you have to turn the situation and take another theme to make the conversation flow, because at that point was an end point. Right? Yeah.
Can you hear? Did you?
I didn't get the last point. I wanted to understand what you were saying about the end point. That in the conversation with the end point.
Yeah, because at one point I was like in the tree Y, in the side, but I was arriving to the tree, and then we arrived to. So why is that a problem for you? Because my friend had an attack. So I was like, okay, I can't ask more whys, because of course that's enough. I mean, it's clear for me why. So I have to change the point and look for another way to turn the question, because it was a problem at the moment.
Okay.
So are you saying that the story then that they shared about this, when you shared the story, that this provided you another way to dig deeper because of the story? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because at some point, yeah, so it's like it has no sense to keep going. Maybe I have to turn with another and look for another kind of information that is more like interesting and not so pushy for the person that is answering.
Yeah. Okay. And that story was really transformative for me too. I feel like I often think of healthy in a different way, and it reframed my view of healthy. Not necessarily completely. I mean, I think that managing stress and making sure that I have time to be relaxed is important to me. But it really, the story and the vision for the future really reframed things for me. I was able to see it in a different way. I really appreciated that. Yeah. How about anyone else? Any other thoughts before we close? Yeah.
And the work with my partner, something surprised me that, for example, my partner is a young guy, and we work about healthy. So in the context, when I think in a young person and we talk about healthy, my perception is that healthy in young people is about the good looking and that kind of things. So in this case, I find that the reason that makes him feels healthy is about to let it free energy, because he feels that he have a lot of energy and make exercise in the morning is a way that makes them feel healthy and quiet. So I understand that it's not a problem about looking. Feels healthy is not about looking at your guy. In this case, is that he is very energetic and he needs to let it free the energy to feel in quiet, for example. And in this case, it's a surprise for me because I was waiting something about looking and that kind of things.
Yeah.
For example, in my case, the most interesting thing was that at the beginning I was asking questions just about him and how he feels about himself by making this finance worthless. But the trigger and when I found like the big insight was when I started asking about who was like supporting him in the purpose of saving money. And in that moment was when he changed his mindset and started to talk about his context and the vision that is in his context.
Yeah. Yeah, I really felt that shift when you were sharing that element of it. That was the piece of taking care of his parents when he's older, right? That the piece, that vision for that? Was that what you're referring to? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts or inspirations or curiosity?
Yes.
To close.
I want to participate. I want to resume the whole process because it was really surprising for me because the end, why? Is because he can be as he want in his space. Yes, that makes him comfortable. And is that he's in his space, in his context, and he can be as he is. That makes him feel comfortable and healthy, actually. That's the end.
And what did you use to dig deeper? What was it that helped you to dig deeper into that understanding?
No, I didn't understand.
¿Qué hizo usted para que lograr sacar eso?
Well, I think that, I don't know. I actually just talk to him because he is my friend, and I think that we are like in a kind of normal situation. He can talk with me as he is. I think that, for example, this is the draw he did, and it's the home, actually. It's the home, the cat, and he wrote my time. Yes?
Yeah.
And this is healthy for me because that represents healthy for him.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
I'm sorry, time we have to be close now.
Yeah.
Christine, you should take these 2 minutes to close the activity.
This time to what?
Yes, Christine, our time is.
Yes.
Close the activity.
Yes.
We have to say goodbye because the place has to
close. Actually.
Well, I want
we're out of time.
Sorry, because we want to have more time, and because we are really happy to have you here. Well, here, but with us. That's all. Thank you so much for your to share your knowledge with us, to share this time with us. Maybe
we hope to hear you in a next time, actually. Yes, because there's not enough time to do whatever you want. Actually, we want to hear you more. We want to hear about your experience. We want to hear about your studies in Uganda. We would like to hear you again.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you all and to hear about the important work that you're doing. And I look forward to continuing to stay in touch. So let's please, you've inspired me. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
take care.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. Thank you. Bye, bye. So muy bueno.
Muchas gracias por venir, muchas gracias por la paciencia. Qué pena con el afán. No sabíamos que teníamos que cerrar la pandemia, pensábamos que teníamos hasta las 10.
A mí me gustaría saber, o sea, qué tal vieron todo. O sea, fuimos poquitas personas, podemos decir un poco que fue estratégico en el sentido